Hi everyone! My name is Katy, and welcome back to another Animal Crossing video. Today I'm going to show you how to build a little diagonal neighborhood and how I chose to decorate this one on my second island of Polyphia. So let's get started. I did a cul-de-sac tutorial last fall and y'all have said that has been really helpful, and I'm still 100% obsessed with diagonal pathing, so I wanted to show you how I make diagonal neighborhoods as well. So the first thing I had to do was build up a big old cliff. This neighborhood is only for 2 houses, so I knew I needed an area that was about 18 by 18 spaces to give each house a proper lawn area with room to decorate and plenty of room for a diagonal path. I also knew that I wanted this neighborhood to connect to another incline behind the neighborhood and a cliff that my resident rep house will be on, so I added extra spaces in the back for that. Okay, so now that we've got our cliff all built up, that took me about half an hour to do in real time, so we are definitely ready to get started on the path. So like I said, I love using paths that include diagonal options and sidewalk pieces. There are many amazing creators with codes like this, but I will be using Colin Crossing's Cherry Blossom version for today's video. First, I start by figuring out how long I want the different pieces of the path to be. I start with the square sidewalk codes to create the outline of the path. And these trees were blocking my view, so I had to get rid of them for the time being. Now on this island, my main pathing is 2 spaces wide with a sidewalk on each side. Once I had that initial little piece laid down, it looked too close to the edge of the cliff, so I decided to move the whole thing back 1 space. Figuring out what is best for the space that you're decorating takes a lot of trial and error, but it is worth it to get it just how you want it and to feel really good about what you're creating. So once I have my square pieces starting the path, I go in with the main diagonal road. I started with the half and half piece to map out that diagonal part. I wanted to give space for the right side house, and I wanted to have space for the incline that I knew I wanted in the back of this build. So again, it took a bit of trial and error, but it's really about finding the balance of the space and the parameters and all the different pieces that you know you need to make work. Then I filled in the missing top diagonal pieces of the path. I also filled in the middle road code along the diagonal path. Next, I went in with the bottom half and half diagonal code and started to mirror those top codes of the diagonal. Figuring out where these codes should go and how thick to make the main part of the diagonal is the hardest step in this whole process, I think. At first here, I had basically a 3 space wide path, but I didn't like how thick it was looking and I wanted to have more space to decorate. So I decided to make it 2 spaces wide instead. I also added in those missing bottom diagonal pieces. Then I mapped out the space for the incline by using the square codes again. It can be kind of confusing switching from a diagonal path to a straight path, but I think using those square codes and knowing that I need 2 regular road spaces between them really helps me map it out correctly and make less errors. I like to finish my corners with the diagonal end pieces of the code, so I did that next on all of my square edges. And then it's finally time to place the actual road codes. I like to pick a certain code like I'm doing here with the right edge and add all of the needed right edge codes. Then I'll switch to the left edge, then the corners, the top edge, the bottom edge, and then the middle pieces. So once I'm all done with that, I mark out where to place my 2 houses. The things to be mindful of when placing your houses are having enough space to decorate, especially if you want to plant trees and flowers along the path, and how the whole area will look in the camera photo view. I always like to double check with the in-game camera that my whole composition is how I want it to be, so that the build will look good in photos. For this build, I was inspired by Shannon, aka QB Crossing's diagonal speed build. I loved how the pictures of that build looked, and I wanted to be sure that when I took photos of this area, that I could see both houses and the path. Now, because I'm building an incline at the end of this path, I had to build up another whole big old cliff in the back so that I could make sure I liked where the incline was and how the whole build flowed together before I started placing down the different items and decorations. So then I placed that incline and I placed both of my houses. I actually changed the placement of both of the houses one space toward the diagonal path. When I visualized how they would look, I thought that they looked too far away from each other, so you'll see that I ended up changing my mind on that. Okay, so now we have the base elements of our build all laid out, so now it's time to decorate. I always start with even more pathing. This part is pretty similar to my cul-de-sac builds. I placed down a doormat code and then used a dirt path code to connect the home to the main path. I like this to look like a natural driveway or walkway, and this amazing code is also by Colin Crossing, and it matches the main road path perfectly. The next thing I do to really frame out the whole area is add in my trees. I like to have different stages of trees, so I'll get all those planted where I want them and then time travel to stunt them as needed. Once that's done, I added even more of that dirt path to create smaller little scenes to decorate in each of the yards. I also added more of that dirt path to the southern side of the left path. I'm doing this technique all around my island on the main pathways, so this helps tie this neighborhood into my theme and also make it cohesive with the areas around it. The next thing I do to frame out the build is add the flowers around the path and the homes. A little more dirt pathing because I can never have enough. And then I start putting down my auxiliary codes. For this island, they are all of my different cherry blossom petals, and I basically add those everywhere. All the codes I'm using in this video will be listed in my description box as well. And then it's time to start with the items. I try to start with the biggest and tallest items to make sure that I have enough space for them. For this build, that was the pagodas, the maypole, and this giant teddy bear. This neighborhood went a little bit kidcore, which I didn't plan on, but I did have a lot of fun with. Then I added some smaller items to the yards. I wanted to just have a lot of fun and use items that I love. I created a cozy little area to listen to music, as well as my cherry blossom items all around and some town core type things. I also love having different modes of transportation along the road, especially in neighborhoods. I think I ended up adding 3 to this build. And then I caught Shino looking so freaking cute inspecting the flowers, so I just had to share that with you all. This isn't even her house, but she does live pretty close, so I think she could spend a lot of time up here. Then I created a little bakery area for the right house. I love the food items as well as any excuse to use them. The afternoon tea set has got to be one of my favorite items in the whole game. I also had to add that little gray and white bunny because he is so cute and I love seeing bunnies in my front yard. Then on this left side, I turned this front area into a tiny kid-core playground. I just think that this color of the elephant slide is so cute and I really wanted to find a reason to use it. Then I created a couple more little sitting areas for the house on the left side, one with a rocking chair and magazines, and the other one with a tea set and a bird bath. I added a couple more items to the music area. And there I go, adding another method of transportation parked on the sidewalk. I switched out a few of the items with even more pink accents. I am very thankful for all the different pink options in this game. And here is my last method of transportation. I had to kind of fiddle with it to get it how I wanted it to look. I added a few more kid-core things to the park area. And I finished with more super cute items, and I was done. Alright everyone! Thank you so much for watching. Petrie and Blanche seem to be enjoying their new neighborhood, and I hope that you are as well. If you like this one, please leave a like and a comment down below. And if you'd like to see more from me, be sure to subscribe and click the bell to be notified when I post a new video or go live. I hope that you and yours are staying safe, happy, and healthy, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks again. Bye-bye!